5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
We are live. Hello everybody, welcome fight fans to another edition of Web Boxing 101, live from Warriors Edge Boxing Facilities here in El Paso, Texas. That's right. You are also live on the Boxing Reporter, our online publication to bringing you news about boxing. And you know what, folks? I'm so happy to be back talking about boxing, especially amateur boxing, pro boxing. Jesus Christ, the delay has been too long already, and by the looks of it, it's probably going to get longer. Shit, man, I'm just happy to be back. And folks, I'm happy that you're with us. Two ways you can see us on YouTube right now, live on YouTube or recorded. We record all our episodes. We're on episode number 45, or on Facebook, live on the Boxing Reporter or Webbox page. We are live there as we go live right now. And on the screen and on your screen, tonight's guest is the judge, the Honorable Mr. Luis Aguilar. He's also a USA Boxing official, and we'll know a lot about him as we go on tonight on the show. Judge, you're alive right now. You want to say hello? Thank you for being on the show.
Hello. Thank you very much for inviting me. Appreciate it. Mr. Trevino, Mr. Delgado. Always a pleasure to talk boxing with you guys, and I totally concur. It's been a long, long time. It seems like a long, long time.
It is a long time, Judge, right? I mean, Judge, who would have thought that this would have happened?
You know, it's still hard to comprehend and grasp the magnitude of the impact it's had, not only on boxing, right, but on the American society, community, and particularly the economy.
Wow, yeah. And like always, folks, we also have Herman Delgado, our professional prize fighter, heavyweight fighter. Herman Delgado, glad to be back, Herman.
Oh, it's about time, getting back in the gym.
Right, getting back.
That's good.
Yeah, and you know what? It's halted so much things, Judge and Herman. It's like I said, it's affected the sports world, everything. It's affected everything. In my case, it's affected my gym and my livelihood to another. And you know, it's sad, but there's gyms in El Paso that have lost the gym. One of them in particular was Borderland Brawlers. Jerry lost the gym, and that sucks, man. I want to say hello to Jerry, man.
You know, I can assure you that this is just terrible, and it's not. And it's the boxing gyms, it's little restaurants, it's just a multitude of small businesses that unfortunately I had felt that they were not going to be able to overcome 3 months, because if you stop and think about it, if you cut off your income for 3 months and those bills keep coming, the car, the mortgage, the utilities, the food, you're going to be in a very precarious situation.
Well, I mean, how do we, and in my case, not just my case, right, but how do we stop that, right? You can't.
You know, and you know, I don't want to go into politics or make this too controversial, but the reality is this: you've got to get back to work, period. And you know, I'm working on an editorial that I'm writing, and basically, if you look at all the elected officials, and you heard Fashi say, well, we may be closed down until the end of the year. Well, that's great if you're getting your paycheck. You cut off his paycheck, and I guarantee he's not going to have that position wait till the end of the year, because families need to feed their family.
Of course.
And unfortunately, Texas drew some national attention with, I believe her name was Sherry, the hairdresser in Dallas, who went to jail. And flat out told him, I need to feed my family. She's not getting money. She's not on the government payroll. She has to produce some money. And unfortunately, that judge saw otherwise.
Yeah.
Thank God Governor Abbott overruled him. And but this is an extremely serious situation. I'm not just talking about from public health, the economic situation that's created.
And you know what? With that said, also, we're on phase 2 of reopening and getting back to work, like you said. Starting this Monday, May the 18th, phase 2 will begin as far as gyms opening. I don't know about bars, something like that. But we're back to phase 2, and we have some rules and all that. But just recently, the local leaders of El Paso had send a letter to Governor Abbott halting that. And as we saw right now, it's still a go. I mean, and I was wondering, and again, I don't want to hurt my gym members, and I'm pretty sure I don't want them to get sick. But like you said, we need to get back to work, man, you know?
And Mr. Trevino, let's be practical here. We lost 60 people on the highways and public roadways last year, and we're going to do it again this year. We lose over 30,000 people in this country from the flu.
Yeah.
Okay? But the point is this, you cannot shut down the economy. And here's the reality. You go down to Sam's or Costco's, there's 500 people in there?
Yeah, what's the difference?
More than that.
And that's the reality. And they won't let you bring in 10 people into your gym because
Exactly.
everybody will die. But 500 at these large stores, that's fine.
Yeah.
Drive by Albertsons. Well, and I get it. At least they're selling food. The virus doesn't understand, if you're buying food, leave that crowd alone. If you're in a boxing gym, come on down. It's ridiculous.
It doesn't discriminate. You're right. It doesn't discriminate.
What are your thoughts, Herman, on the phase 2 opening?
The same way. It's like, the gyms, people arguing about getting their hair cut and stuff. Everybody's essential right now. There's nothing you could say. I'm a photographer, so I got to get back out there and get some work. So I feel for everybody that wants to do something.
Yeah, it's been
a job.
And you know what?
Not on the government payroll.
And you know what, man? We don't. Who would have projected this ever happening? We're probably prepared for an atomic bomb. We're probably prepared for World War III, but a germ that halted and crippled society as we know it to a standstill. It crippled this economy. It's crippled everything. And wow, it's just been something. And yeah, this is not a political podcast, but fuck, man. We have so much to say as far as this. I know I have. I've been missing my podcast, but let's get back to boxing, right? But we'll talk more, folks. And we want to join everybody that's live right now. Hello to Javier Enoch Solis. He's watching live right now. Boxing news again, like we said, still no fights announced by the major promoters, which promoters will also be losing a lot of money, and it all depends on the commissions giving approval. The commission of each state, Top Rank and Sanford Promotions, we're talking about their first gate in June, and that's been the talk about, folks, about having these big fights in June. Golden Boy, PBC, Matchroom Boxing, Queensberry in July. Germany also is on board. One state that did stand out last week was Florida. Florida is open for business with 3 UFC shows in 1 week. And they were ready to go, but no takers from the Sweet Science so far. And you know what? That UFC pay-per-view card drew more than 700,000 members pay-per-view buys. So they did pretty good, and it was a pretty good card too, but nothing from the Sweet Science yet, right? Florida, like I said, UFC staged a successful pay-per-view show. This was the first major combat sports since March. The show took place with no fans in attendance, and all the fighters, officials, production crew, the entire staff also, they went through a very critical temperature checks, antibody test, nasal swab test. UFC show schedules for May 13 and May 16 at the same venue. All right, so Florida has been open to hosting boxing events as long as there are no spectators in attendance. Judge, what do you think of that? No spectators in attendance.
And again, I have my own personal feelings. Boxing is about attendance. That's what boxing's all about. It's the fans. And I think unlike sports like football where everybody's up there, boxing, they're right on top of you. You can hear them. You can feel the yelling of the crowd because ringside is right there, right below you at your feet, and your corner's right there. And to me personally, without any fans, it's going to seem like a sparring session. No one in the gym. You're just sparring. You could normally, as you all know, you're not going to hear your corner in a fight. He can sit all the way back in row 5 and yell instructions to you. You'll hear him.
So yeah, but you don't think they want to do it just for the sake of our boxing?
Well, let me tell you my own personal experience
Judge.
at the Golden Gloves tournament on the final day. The attendance was so bad that when I bring fighters to the center of the ring, normally I have to yell instructions to them. And so since no one was there, I just spoke to them normally, and I could hear my voice echoing. It sounded like they had the mic in my face.
Did you say, am I mic'd up for this?
Well, I thought it was mic'd up because I could hear myself echoing.
Well, you know what? So we'll see. I mean, no spectators. I know there's been pro fighters saying that they're not gonna. They don't want to fight without the fans, but you're right. It's all about the fans, right?
Sure.
But,
and you got when you see a sparring session here, it's your corner and a couple of people around the ring. It's understood. That's practice. You're working. But to go when every fighter feels that it's showtime, here we go, and nobody's there.
It's the crowd that motivates you.
Exactly.
That's what gets you going.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? I mean, I guess UFC was successful because people just wanted to see something on TV. There's no sports.
That's true.
Have you realized that this world revolves around sports?
Yeah.
Now I'm really realizing it. There can be. I'm tired of Netflix. I went over that 1,000 times. I'm tired. I don't want to do that no more. I want to see something live, and even if it's golf. No offense to my golfers, but something competitive, man. I mean, it's funny how we have evolved over sports. How our life revolves over sports.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. Sports is an integral part of our society.
Jesus.
I mean, look at the NFL. They play 16 games a year, and look, it's just packed.
And that's in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I have a hard time thinking 32 billionaires are going to sit at home and take that kind of
Judge,
a cut.
well, you say that, but look at the Olympics. They halted the Olympics. That's when I said this shit is serious.
Well, to me, there's a world of difference between Tokyo saying we're going to pay for everything you come down to Tokyo, we'll take care of it. It's on us, versus 32 billionaires saying you're costing me a lot of money, and I didn't get to be a millionaire in this world by giving away money.
Yeah. I know just recently the Baseball Players Association and MLB and all that are trying to get the season started, and some of the players don't want to because it's going to be some pay cuts, I think. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're only going to play half a season, but beyond that, what they're proposing, and again, Major League Baseball also has 32 billionaires that call the shots. And the problem is, once you get to Major League Baseball, the overwhelming majority are already millionaires, and sticking them in a hotel for 4 months away from the family, good luck.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
They don't need it.
You're right, and they're going to structure it different. But I mean, it's all for the sake of sports, and I think if this keeps on going, Judge and Herman, I think we're going to end up seeing stuff like that, or drastic measures. Well, look at AAA baseball. It's done for the season, right? Chihuahuas won't play no more.
Oh wow.
But I think there's a big distinction between AAA, which is nothing more than the farm teams. They don't pay them much because the money is in the majors. So Triple League guys, they don't make that much, so it's not going to cost Major League Baseball. And remember, everyone is affiliated to a major league club.
Yeah,
they're
right.
covering the bills.
You're right. So if we got to fix the big dogs, it also will affect downhill, right?
Yeah, some of those players are just here for temporary assignments, so they're still attached to the Padres or whatever baseball team. So it's no big deal to them.
Folks, we are live here at the Web Boxing Gym, web podcast with Judge Aguilar. We like to say hello to everybody that's joining us. David Pena says Judge Aguilar. Erica Trevino's watching. Chuy Ortega's watching. Ramon Lerma is watching. Isidro Salcedo from Las Cruces, New Mexico says let's open up the gyms. I know Las Cruces has been an integral part of our LBC here as well. Good people in Las Cruces, man. Good tournaments out there. Every time we go to Las Cruces, am I right, Herman?
Oh, they treat us like
they treat us kings, man. They're good people out there.
They are.
I hope they get their. I hope also they get running and we start this going again. Herman, as we go on to the boxing news, this is going to go for you. former WBA, IBF, WBO heavyweight champion Andy Reese officially joined Team Canelo. Did you know that?
Yeah, I saw that the other day.
They're going to be Chepe Reynoso is going to be training Andy Reese. As you know, that Andy Reese in the past has not trained, as we saw in his last heavyweight fight. He didn't even train against Anthony Joshua. He came in back like 30, 40 pounds overweight. Do you think that in the Team Canelo camp that'll make a difference, Herman?
He's a grown man. He's a he is grown. You can't tell a grown man do this and do. It's not like teaching amateurs. So Reynoso said, "I'm going to control this camp." Good luck with that.
You think so? You
Yeah,
think
good luck
be
with that.
successful? Chepo Reynoso was trainer of the year, I believe, last year, and he already got Ryan Garcia too, I think. But do you think Reese will make a difference in Team Canelo camp, Judge?
A grown man.
I totally agree with Herman on this one. Okay, you were the heavyweight champion of the world, and if you need a trainer to come in here and tell you
Don't
need
eat
to get
Snickers.
to work, I mean, they're professionals, and if you don't have enough pride in your craft to go in there, look, by the time you reach that level, you're not an amateur. You don't need a trainer telling you, well, this is how you need to run every day.
Yeah.
You know what you have to do, and if you don't have the self-discipline to do it, you're on your own. I don't care who your trainer is.
Yeah, you're right, man. You're right.
And they're making also a lot of big deal about. I've seen those videos of Mike Tyson. He's making a comeback. Yeah, Tyson looks great on the mitts, but when you're 53 years old, you don't realize that heavyweights today are young guys hitting you back harder. So yeah, you can talk. He's a terror, man. He's a beast. The beast has got to hit somebody. The mitts don't hit back.
Yeah, and let me tell you, I think all that Tyson and Evander Holyfield, all that is just again trying to benefit from the situation we're in right now. Trying to get money. People are like I said, we're desperate. We want to see boxing, man. You know what I mean, right, Judge?
I was working out with my daughter Claudia the other day, and she showed me that video, and I agree. Oh, he looks sharp.
Oh my God!
But Mike Tyson was the one who made the quote that I've never forgotten. Everybody has a plan until you get smacked.
Yeah. And you got a lot of people talking about how he was at his prime. Yeah, at his prime, he got beat by Buster Douglas. He got beat by Evander Holyfield. So Tyson, it's over and done with. And on the way back, I mean, he got beat up by some guys you had never even heard of. So, yeah, he looks good. Like I said, he looks great. His experience he could probably beat a quarter of the guys out there right now in the pros. But start getting in there with them top 10 heavyweights, forget about it.
Yeah. Moving right along, folks. We're with Luis Aguilar, the judge. Tell us about yourself growing up in El Paso. Where are you from, Judge?
I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, but I left very early. El Paso's always been my home. It's the only home I've ever acknowledged or known.
Why El Paso, Judge?
My parents moved here when I was very, very young, and so I grew up here in El Paso, went to high school here in El Paso, joined the United States Marine Corps.
Thank you for your service.
So I came back, went to UTEP, I got my degree in political science, and then I went off to the University of Michigan, Go Blue.
Oh.
And from there I went on to Houston. I practiced some tax law in Houston, and then I went to the DA's office in Houston, came back home, and for all those millenniums out there listening to me, I know, and I've heard this a million times, can't wait to get out of El Paso, nothing to do, boring. Okay, well, let me just tell you this.
Love it.
And I am tired of hearing elected officials say, we have to do something about the brain drain. And since I have the mic, I'm just going to go ahead and go.
Go ahead, Judge. It's all yours.
I am so tired of hearing people say, our youngest and brightest are leaving. Good for them. I've told everybody, go as far away as you can, because either you're going to find a better life out there and you stay, or you will come home. And I happen to be one of those that I spent 10 years on the road out there working. And I knew someday I'm coming home. As soon as I perfect my craft here, learn how to be a lawyer, try a case, I'm coming home. And I'm telling you, I'm so glad I came home. I've never regretted my decision to come home, and I believe the millenniums will do the same.
Judge, well, let me ask you a question, man. So why do you think that's the conception, or I don't know, why do you think that's always the case? I'm going to leave El Paso. Why do you think they say that? It's not that they don't feel supported by El Paso leaders, communities, business people?
No, I just think, there's a lot of factors here. And I think it all, the genesis of that attitude, in my opinion, is the isolation of El Paso. This isn't Houston where people come and go all the time. People in El Paso, for example, before I left for the Marine Corps, I'd never left El Paso, ever. I mean, And I think that you don't have anything to compare it to. And if you watch a lot of YouTube and TV, and there's concerts in L.A. and fights in Chicago, and Las Vegas has there's a lot of glitz and glamour out there. But when you get out there, in my mind, I never had any doubt I'm going to raise my family in El Paso. When I have a family, it'll be done here. And I get it. Houston, there was a lot of opportunity, and there was a hell of a lot of crime. I mean, you better be heads up in Houston.
Right.
So you pay a high price for that.
Pros and cons.
People don't realize how friendly El Paso is. You know, my brother lives in Chicago. You go to Chicago and you say, and to me, I'm just accused. When you see somebody, you just say hello to them. You do that in Chicago, and it's like, what? You get the strangest looks like, what do you want? Who are you? Do I know you? And I just got comfortable in El Paso, this hometown, and everybody's connected to somebody. I don't care who you are. You are connected via a relative or a friend, but you are connected. So,
and I agree with the judge, right, Herman? I mean,
Hey, go to Albuquerque.
Yeah. El Paso's a good community, but sometimes I feel that El Paso really,
It's a quiet.
you know, I'll tell you one thing, man. El Paso's been hit with some major blows, starting last year with a shooting. Made some national headline news with that. The wall controversy, and now, of course, this pandemic. And sometimes the people are not reacting like the way I want them to react, like the way I want to say El Paso strong, right? They started saying El Paso hoarders.
yeah.
So you mentioned you went to high school. What high school did you go to?
Went to Coronado High School.
Coronado High. Isn't that where David Rodriguez is from? Or
Yes,
no,
sir,
he's
it
from
is.
Burgess or Coronado?
No, he's from. He went to Coronado.
Went to Coronado. We had David on the show last time.
Okay.
Judge. Tell us about how you got involved in boxing, Judge.
I've always been involved in boxing, and when I was working in Houston, El Paso had some outstanding teams back in the day.
Right.
And just let me pontificate here. Back in the day when they were doing the tournaments, and I've told this story a million times because people don't believe me because of the state of the art of Golden Gloves here in El Paso. But back in the days of Junior Vicencio and those guys back then, when you walked in with that El Paso jacket, people knew you're going to fight. Doesn't mean El Paso's going to win, but you are going to fight. And these last couple of years, we didn't get treated that way. So
Not a couple of years.
okay,
Long time.
a long time.
Yeah,
a long
couple
time.
means no.
But
If we'll talk about that too.
but in those days, El Paso was just that team came to fight. When you were flying El Paso's colors and your jacket said Golden Gloves,
But how did you get involved in boxing again?
I've just always been involved in
So
boxing.
you just like boxing
Yeah.
growing up. Did you fight, Judge?
No, I didn't.
Did you but you just like boxing, the sport?
Yes, right.
You saw growing up who were the likes of who? Who did you like?
Well, the truth is, the greatest fighter I ever saw who motivated me for a long, long time was Roberto Duran. I mean,
Wow.
in my opinion, there'll never be another. I mean, he was what he was, and I
Came to
get
fight.
it. People didn't like it. I met him twice, and both times he just stared at me and growled. "Arr." You shake their hand. I thought, like, holy. At least he didn't flip me off like he did Sugar Ray's wife.
Yeah. Or grab his
But
crotch.
he was what he was. When he came and a personal friend of his introduced us. There was a doctor in Panama in Houston. He says, I know Roberto. And I said, yeah, right. So he says, come to my house. And I thought, and Roberto's going to be there. I said, I'm not going all the way to your house, He says, I'm telling you, Roberto will be there. When he showed up, I was like, whoa. And so he says, let me introduce you. And I'll never forget. I reach out, hello, Mr. Duran. He just looked at me, just slaps my hand and keeps on walking.
Really? Is that just his personality?
It's just, and it was nothing personal. I was being respectful, Mr. Duran.
Well, even if it was personal, Judge, I don't think you would mess with him. Hey, get over here, you little.
It's just, it's the way he was.
Wow.
And when I'd watch him, when he came, he just came to fight. He's going to fight. And but that's old school. They don't make guys like Roberto.
Yeah.
And you can talk about all the greats, Sugar Ray Robins and Muhammad Ali. They didn't have that personality when he walked in.
And still to the day, you haven't seen a fighter that resembles him as close?
In my opinion, no.
Wow.
He was just different. He was just different. He came to fight. I followed him, through my friend in Houston, and it's kind of sad. I think most people don't realize His son ended up a big novela star in Panama,
Yeah.
did well financially, bought him a restaurant because Roberto was broke. Buys him a restaurant, says, Dad, this will take care of you. People, and this is Roberto. People came in with their families. Tenemos hambre, no hay nada, no tenemos dinero. Okay, don't worry about it. Well, no kidding, the restaurant went broke.
Yeah, it was giving food away to people.
So
Wow.
it's just, that's Roberto Duran.
Oh, so that's interesting, Judge. So we talk about the pro. So how did you get involved with amateur boxing in El Paso? Because, folks, if you didn't know, Judge Aguilar is a boxing official and one of the best amateur boxing officials that we have in our sport today. So tell us how you got involved with the amateur sport.
Well, thank you. When I came back, I wanted to hook up with this El Paso team because, it gave me a lot of pride that San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth. When El Paso walked in, get ready, and it was just a tremendous amount of pride. So I went to hook up with the El Paso, and it was, I don't know if you remember Mr. Mata back then.
Yes.
I met
Well, I know who he is.
Yeah, and I got involved, and I got to tell you, there's really great people. I mean, I met Junior Vicencio.
Junior's a good guy, man.
And, Covarrubias, Rochelle, Robert Velez,
Wow.
Andres, all those. It was just a pleasure. And here in El Paso, and for those listening to me, I want you, when there's a tournament, it's not just the boxers, it's a tremendous social event for the officials because we don't get together that much. And
It's
me
a family.
personally, yeah, it's just good to see everybody. We have a good time. And, we've been friends. All the officials have been friends for many, many years now.
And you continue to have the same group.
And it's, I'm going to tell you the truth, we still go to lunch, before this thing happened.
Wow.
The officials would get together, we'd go have a lunch. It's a genuine friendship.
And I'm pretty sure in all the LBCs it might be the same. And it's important to maintain that bond with those officials and your friends, the officials, the coaches, the organizers, promoters, all those people at the LBC.
It's very similar to the law enforcement world. Yeah, you work. Those are your colleagues, your coworkers, but they're still your friends. And even when you get reassigned to another division or what have you, you're still friends.
Yeah, you're right. It's a family, man. It's a culture.
It is.
Right. As a boxing official, Judge, what is one of your pet peeves during the bouts? And I know, and I'm going to tell you something about the judge, man. I remember going to his courtroom, and it was a pleasure to go because I knew two things. I was going to be scared shitless, even if I had nothing to do there, just but take inmates or jury duty. But at the end of the day, I was going to learn something. And every day I went to this man's courtroom, I learned what it really means, the true meaning of being an American citizen, man. It was awesome, Judge.
Well, thank you.
There'll never be another person like you, man. It was awesome. And not only that, the handwritten notes that you would send to everybody telling them thank you for being part of jury duty and why you didn't get selected and why you did get selected. It was a show seeing you, man. Tell those people, how long have you been in the United States, man? And I go, always in a What do you mean? You don't know English, man? What the fuck? Oh, man. That was pretty cool, man.
But let me defend myself here. A lot of people have this mentality, I'm not serving on jury duty because I just don't care. I don't care what you're doing here, buddy. And when a man is looking at 5 to 99 or life, you're talking to the wrong judge to say, I don't care if he gets life or goes free.
Yeah.
None of my business. I don't care. And if you come to this country, and I'm a Marine, and I'm very grateful to this country for the opportunities it gave me and my family and my children. I am. I truly am. I came from very humble beginnings, and I am grateful that I was fortunate enough to live a comfortable life, as well as my children will. But when you come to this great country and you reap the benefits of being in America, and then you tell me I've been here 30 years and I don't speak English and I'm not serving on jury duty, we're going to have an ugly issue.
Yeah, and it was an entertaining issue, too. So,
as long as you weren't the one standing in front of me.
Because I was scared, man. I wouldn't even know you, Judge. Like, oh, he's going to look at me. He's going to say, but it was cool, man, all right? So, saying that, folks, saying that, when we see them up on the ring, we want to make sure that our fighters are good to go. They have the equipment, everything's good. So, what are your pet peeves when you're up there, Judge?
I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm very punctual. Going back to the United States Marine Corps, do not show up late. But putting that aside, This is, and I've thought about this. This is my pet peeve. Boxers work extremely hard. Only a boxer knows what it's like to get up in that ring in front of all those people and believe. I don't care how good you are. You're on your knees praying, don't let me get embarrassed. If I lose, okay, but do not let me get embarrassed up there. I think that's every fighter, whether he admits it or not. I don't want to be embarrassed. Okay, just let me go out there and fight. And you train so hard, you go up there, you end up on an adverse ruling, judges a split decision, unanimous decision, or a draw. And to hear the parents and the trainers say, we got robbed. You know,
What do you? Yeah,
that's my pet peeve. All the trainers out there listening to me and parents who have children fighting, look, this is what I would suggest to you. One, if you lost that decision and you know your kid won, you need to sit down, talk to me, talk to any official. They'll be more than happy to tell you, this is what you need to do. This is why I saw the other guy. When you couldn't slip the jab, well, he didn't hurt me. And you need to understand why the judges saw it the other way. And if you're really going to be a champion and progress in this sport, you need to understand, and your trainer needs to come on and say, look, we know we beat them. Yeah, okay, but this is what they saw. This is what we need to correct, so the next fight, we're not going to make that mistake again. And that's how these fighters progress and become someone. You need to understand.
Wow.
I've offered to sit in on these trainer seminars when they do them, and give you the referee's perspective or a judge's perspective. This is what I'm looking at up there. So if you have one of those, well, I hit harder than him. You might, but that's not going to necessarily win the fight. So that.
And you're right. It should be. It's kind of insulting towards anything. The whole sport there, huh? That we got robbed, and we hear that, right, Herman?
Oh yeah, you hear it all the time.
That they got robbed, and you know what, Judge? Do you like refereeing? Is there like an age preference? Do you like the 8-year-olds to the adults, or it's the same?
It doesn't matter to me.
8-year-olds is fucking awesome, man. They get out there, they have so much heart, man. They get out there and they're fucking fighting, man.
And you know, I'm not as strict with little kids because you can't tell them, hey, you can't dip below, or you're slapping, or you know, when I say break your knee to take a full step back, they're just kids. But
They're awesome, huh?
yeah, and I respect them because you know there's
Right,
tremendous
Judge?
pressure coming up in that ring.
Well, it's not a T-ball team. They're by themselves up there. They have a lot of balls to get up there. Am I right? I mean,
you have
little
no
Bobby's
idea.
not going to save you at first base, or you're by yourself up there. We got my kid coming up, my 5-year-old. He's gonna be up there soon, Judge.
Yeah. All right.
Diego.
And
Oh,
you're
yeah.
absolutely right. This is not a sport where everybody gets a trophy,
No, he got a
participation
bloody
trophy.
nose. You know, I started doing that to my academies, Judge.
What's that?
At my sheriff's academies, first day, I put a trophy this big, and it says participation trophy. And you know what I tell them? Everybody that's incarcerated got a participation trophy. That's what society is turned to. So let me tell you something, and I rip them.
Good,
That's what I
because
tell them, man.
this is no participation trophy.
Yeah,
sport
we
here.
don't have a snack list or tunnel or.
No.
Imagine if we had a snack list, Herman. You lose your mind here, man. It's been said that some officials favor a fighter's aggressiveness over technique. You think that's the case, Judge, when you're an official up there?
And let me say this also. Judges and referees, they're just like anyone else. If you were really smart, trainers, if you're really smart, pull that bout sheet and see who's going to be refereeing. It's public record. Just go on there and say, give me the lineup. If you see it's Judge Aguilar, you better stick to the rules. He's going to call them on you, okay? He's not going to allow, this. I just saw the Pacquiao Mayweather, where he grabs him in the headlock repeatedly. You're not going to do that if I'm up there. Do you remember he kept putting him in a headlock?
Mayweather.
Mayweather. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Mayweather. So you just need to know the referee, his tolerance limits.
But do you think, Judge, that do judges see more aggressive? Some judges see more aggressiveness than skills, or because in the amateurs it's hard to see skill, right?
Well,
Sometimes. It depends.
You can see some polished fighters that you just know. Yep. And I guess if Herman, you've walked into a gym and somebody will catch your eye. Hey, that guy can fight right there. I don't know who he is, but that guy
okay.
can fight. You can see him on the heavy bag. That guy can fight. But
That's true, man.
I mean, you really can. But I will tell you this: the USA Boxing, they've got the manuals for the referees and the judges, and if you look in there, it specifically states the scoring criteria. It's generally the quantity and the quality of the blows, the domination of the bout, and the aggressiveness and control of the fight. So the fact that you land a stiff jab or a hard left hook in each of the 3 rounds, and the other guy is giving you 3, not as hard, but you're getting 3 per round. Yeah, you have to be effectively aggressive. Just being aggressive in and itself is not going to win you the fight.
Okay, and then of course, and it all depends. Depends on the judges, right?
Correct.
Whatever and you guys work well together, so you kind of know.
And let me add, we're always trying to recruit, so periodically you are going to get a rookie judge in there.
Of course.
And I got to hand this to Andres, the chief of officials. He monitors this, and he will, if your scorecards are off, he will sit you with an experienced judge and say, look, just sit with him. And when I get assigned one of these guys, what we'll do is we'll both score the round. I'll turn around and I'll look at his scorecard and ask him, why did you do this and why did you do that? And then I'll explain to him, this is what I did and this is why I did what I did. So there is a little training process for the new guys. And unfortunately, everybody has to start somewhere.
Yeah, and speaking of starting somewhere, how do we recruit people to be officials, referees? I know to the LBC, I know there was an issue because we need more people for this, right?
This is one of these topics. It's Andres and the LBC is very sensitive, and I got to hand it to Andres, the chief of officials. He offered to pay the registration fees for new people who would come in, take the seminar, because if you look at these tournaments the last couple of years, it's the same officials and the same referees. It's the same ones.
But it's not their fault, right, Judge?
No.
Nobody wants to step up to the plate.
And see, and this is what I'm saying. For those parents that my kid was robbed, if you believe your kid was robbed, you come on down here and you sign up for an official and you will see how this thing is scored. Trainers come down to these seminars, particularly the ones that Andres does, and he's going to explain to you, this is what the judge is looking at, this is what the referees are doing.
But people don't do that, Judge.
Exactly.
And they just complain.
Exactly.
And I was robbed, and I didn't do this, and they didn't do this, and they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
It's like the little kids in baseball that their parents are yelling the whole game instead of let the kid play the game.
But you're right. I mean, they just and then you tell them, well, you want to be involved? Oh, no. Then don't. It's like, don't bitch if you're not going to vote.
Right.
Exactly.
But they don't go up there and they don't see, because you know what, Judge, in doing Clash of the Titans and promoting these big events that I have. I see what it goes, what it takes to put these behind the behind the scenes. I see what it takes, and the LBC, they don't pay them. This is your volunteer time, Saturday and Sunday, and to take this bitch session from people, this abuse, I think it's wrong. They do everything they can. Now, here's another one. If you built it, they would come. Golden Gloves was a good example. They did a hell of a job. The LBC did a hell of a job. We just didn't show up. Come on. We had more out-of-town people than in-town people.
Yep.
And it was not on the LBC, because I'm tired of people saying, well, they don't put shows. And they don't put shows. Well, goddamn, show up. Oh, well, I don't like this fight. I'm not going to... What the fuck? You know what they told us about our fighters, Judge? Nothing. And I'm not saying nothing about another gyms. You don't bitch. You want to take the fight? Yeah, we'll take it. Yeah. I'm not going to say, well, who's the guy from? Does he have long hair? Does he not long hair? What the fuck? Just take the goddamn fight. How many fights does he have?
Yeah.
But, right, Judge, you were there, and
there.
It was a poor showing as far as our people. I know Jerry Lamb Brawlers, Wolf's Den, we fought them. They had all their fighters there. Thank God for them. But other gyms weren't there. Am I right, Judge?
Absolutely correct. And look, if you've got a fighter and he's going to be somebody, you're going to fight these guys sooner or later. If you fight them today and you come up short, now you know what it's going to take to beat that guy. And I don't think trainers realize you're going to fight that guy sooner or later. And I hear this, well, he's got too many fights. Well, then you know what you need to improve on when you fight this guy.
Yep.
In backing out, I just think it's a terrible precedent. And I also believe that it reflects poorly on the fighter. Look, because I believe the fighters are, look, I don't care. I'll fight him. I don't care. Well, this guy has 20 fights. Well, good for him. None of them are with me. And I think champions and guys who want to fight is, yeah, you won this title and that title, but you didn't fight me. So, and if he does beat me, now you know this is what you have to do.
And you know what, Judge? 2019 into 2020 it's been a tough span for the events. I know we had an event in Vado, New Mexico, and they had the Sunday morning weigh-ins had 8 fighters. So they canceled the entire show, man. And it was pretty sad, man. I mean, I don't know why, folks, but you're right. I mean, I know I want to give kudos to the LBC. We had a pretty decent Golden Gloves, but it's not what we want it to be, right? I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, nobody showed up. Nobody shows up, man.
And a lot of the amateur boxing nowadays they're not worried about what time they're fighting at. Their first question is, who am I fighting? How many fights does he have? That's the big problem.
And you're right. And brings me to one of the questions I had for you that, it was a low attendance and limited fight card as well. Why do you think that was the case? Well, who knows?
We were on the verge of canceling Sunday because we didn't have any fights. That Sunday card was put together on Saturday because we weren't sure anyone was going to show up to fight.
Yeah, you're right. And it was, you know what, man, for a Golden Glove show to have out-of-town fighters, it's weird, man. Because they're really not going to advance it from people
Correct.
from Colorado. They're like, we're just there to fight. There was people from Colorado, Judge, that came down, and they had a lot of people. Thank God for them.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Because when I found out they were from Colorado,
Midland.
that was pretty embarrassing.
I mean, and you know what? I would like to also see our past champions show up, man. You were there once. Don't forget where you come from. Show up and let the other kids see you. Our state champions. Show up, man.
That since you brought it up,
I did bring it up. It's my podcast.
We talked about it, Judge.
I can talk whatever I want.
Remember we talked about it, Judge, about these kids
This
that
is
ask
my
for
podcast.
donations
I
and support.
I can talk whatever I want.
I thought it was tremendously disrespectful that when you were coming up on and I'm not going to mention any names, but when you were coming up and asking the LBC for money, and Junior was giving you money, and all he wants, and now you're telling him, well, we don't fight in these little third-rate tournaments.
Wow.
I don't do that
fucking
anymore.
bullshit.
And when they were requested, just come in and make a personal appearance, wave to the crowd, I'm busy.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think it's, I shouldn't even go off
But
on
Judge,
that.
they're asking for money,
Yes, sir.
and I'm gonna give
Yeah, they're asking
whatever.
They're asking for donations. Remember
For
we talked about
everything.
that?
Son of a bitch, man! Like,
And I'm not gonna
really,
mention
man?
names either, but
like,
you know who they
really,
are.
man. I mean, you're gonna live off. It's like my little league baseball coach. Shinga, we were paying his bills. We need to buy a uniform for Tuesday. Now a uniform for Thursday. Now the out of town uniform. God damn, bro, we're paying your. And that's what these kids want to do. But you know what? You need to take the time to go out there and, like the judge said, say hello to people, right? Folks, we're online here on the Boxing Web podcast. We're having a good time with Judge Aguilar and Herman Delgado. We'd like to say hello to Aldo Montes. And he was, his son is the one that fought Ariel. It was a great match at the end. He's from the Wolf's Den.
Is that
so I'd
right?
like to say a shout out to Aldo. Shout out to Jacob Coombs, my friend from Arizona. Traveled together for our basic special response team school in Brazil. Rondes Martin is on, and Michael Navarro is also watching the podcast. So hello to everybody to be in tune. We're talking to Judge Aguilar. Our way of life has been altered and forever changed due to this COVID-19 pandemic, Judge. What changes do you think the USA Boxing will make at their events to keep everyone safe or sanitized? Or do you think there will be any changes? And I believe boxing gyms across the nation world will also have to make some type of changes, right?
Well, I have a very different attitude and opinion on this,
Say it.
and I just see that USA Boxing put out their recommendations, and the reality is, I guess that's politically correct, and
Of
it's
course.
good to put it up. But apparently, whoever wrote this, I'd like to see a gym where you have a sign-in sheet. You can't change. I guess you change outside in the street. No water, hand sanitizers, monitor and refill. Come on, guy.
Well, there's only one gym like that here. I don't see.
Yeah.
We
I know where you're going with
we
that.
don't have We don't have night vision goggles and we don't. I mean, it's just. I mean, we're the true small businesses of America, man. We don't have shit like that.
I'd say 98% of the gyms that I've ever been in look exactly like this: a little ring, a corner where you weigh in, a speed bag. And the truth of the matter is, if it didn't stink, it's kind of hard to take you serious as a boxing gym. It doesn't stink. Well, who the hell's coming in here?
And I have fighters come in and say, "This is the gym, man. This is the blood and guts, true warrior meaning of a boxing gym." But it's hard. Those rules are hard, Judge, to follow.
And so why make rules that you're not going to follow?
They just look good.
Yeah, it looks good. There you go. But look, boxing is different. This isn't baseball, or this isn't tennis. Okay, this is not. This is where you come to work, and there's a lot of sweat, and when you come through those rings, it can be a very painful experience, and then you get your lumps, your headache, and you're coming back tomorrow. So I don't understand why you think you're going to overregulate. And the truth of the matter is, the people that come in here are not coming from the country club. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, those when I saw these rules, I was like, yeah, politically correct. I'll put them up, whatever. We'll try to follow them, but more than half of those rules, I can't meet them because I don't have no locker rooms.
Come on. And every time the fighter sits down on the stool, you're going to sanitize it? Come on.
I don't know.
I just don't believe in making rules that you can't enforce. But I guess it makes you look good having 3 pages of rules. And the truth of the matter is, when you talk about gyms in third world countries, come on. If you can't enforce them in this country, what makes you think you're going to enforce these rules in Juarez?
Yeah. Or some third world country. You're right. So
enforce these kind of rules in weightlifting gyms. I mean, it's just as bad.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? I mean, yeah. Well, so I saw those rules, and I mean, it's just hard to follow if you ask me, man. Right, Judge?
It's just the risk areas between between training sessions. Risk areas will. When you come in that gym, to me, the whole place is a risk area. You could get smacked anywhere. The corner, the locker room.
I mean, it's a contact sport, right? And like I said, our way of life has been altered big time. What do you think needs to happen to get back to the level of good old boxing days, Judge? Here, popular in El Paso. You did mention that back then El Paso was viewed as the feared ones. Hey, they're coming to fight whether we win or not. We're coming in, the Junior Vicencios, the Mr. Matas. It just seems that our boxing fan base, especially for amateur boxing, is not what it used to. We talked about the Golden Gloves, very limited attendance, and even $5 to not even $10 at the door, and it's still limited attendance.
I've been talking with Junior Vicencio about this a long time because we need to sit down and restructure this whole thing. But in defense of the only rational explanation for this is that what USA, and just very briefly, USA Boxing and Golden Gloves have an extraordinarily adverse relationship. They hate each other. Now here in El Paso, we've never seen it because one night you put on the white shirt, you're USA Boxing. The next week you put on blue, you're Golden Gloves. It's the same group. You go down to places like San Antonio, and either you're a Golden Glove official or you're USA Boxing, and you don't cross. You will. In fact, on the Golden Glove, they actually give them a stipend. They pay them. But if we catch you working a USA Boxing show, you're not working Golden Gloves.
Wow.
So, and now what USA Boxing did is the regionals, the Western qualifiers, they're open. In the past, you had to win and qualify to go out to the Western qualifier. Now you don't. You just show up. So what a lot of fighters have thought, well, then I'm not going down to Fort Worth because it's Texas finals. That's some tough stuff. There are good fighters. I'll just walk on down to the Western qualifier, and if I win there, I'm in. I didn't have to go through Fort Worth. And Fort Worth, back in the day, was a tough. Those guys were favorites in the nationals. I mean, that's how good. You win the Texas title, you're somebody in this world. And so that's really hurt Golden Gloves. But apart from that, I'd like to think that back in the day when we had the Munoz brothers, Ernie Lascano, Fernie Morales, these guys, Mike Uzeta, that guy, these guys were just special, and the city took a lot of pride. the other thing is they
city.
used to be covered in the newspaper, the evening news. There they are. You were a big guy, something special. And today you don't see any of that. I mean, look, Junior Vicencio won this title 3 times. 3 times. We can't. And you've seen the state of the art now. And I just think that it needs to be redone. You need to recruit more athletes.
Recruit more athletes. Or recruit the structure, man, of LBCs. They give them a break or do something better. And I think, Judge, I think gyms like mine, I'm a gym owner, part of USA Boxing. I have 13 kids, part of the of USA Boxing. We have coaches here. I mean, I think I take pride too, but I think I have to put my part. I do it with this podcast to be known, not just my gym, Judge. Talk about boxing, about our LBC, like we're talking right now. Bring awareness, but also I tell some of my kids, like my son, will be an official. Go out there and recruit new blood. We need new people in there. Help these people out. Recruit more, like you say, Judge. But then you mentioned the city. That's impossible. It's impossible to do anything with the city. Son of a biscuit! Don't get me started. Holy shit! Here we go.
Absolutely, charging what they charge to use a recreation center.
My God.
But this is. I
That's
tried
the
this.
problem. They charge too much. That's one problem.
They're out of their mind. No LBC can afford to rent the rec center. But here's the problem. When I first got into this one time, we had some receptive people on city council. But like everything else, there were a lot of internal problems because having been in the political world for a number of years, they want accountability. If we give you this, we want to know how many people show up. We want to know where your liability is. You're going to have to produce your insurance certificate. And these are the hurdles that I felt were reasonable at the time, because at the time what I was advocating was they waive the fee for these programs because that's the only way we can do it.
And they're not yet.
Yeah. And I just think we needed more political pressure on city council because they don't understand. There is no way we can afford to pay for the rec. And if you remember back, we used to do the Golden Gloves down at
Carolina Center?
Carolina.
Yeah, because Junior worked there.
Exactly.
That's the only reason why we had him there.
Absolutely
Once
correct.
he left, it's over.
Absolutely correct.
And it was a perfect time because you can open those doors, just wheel the ring, and it was there already. You didn't have to have manpower, nothing. But the minute he left, it did. The program went to shit.
You're absolutely correct. And that was an excellent location, central. It accommodated the
kids
crowd.
are there in the barrio.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I grew up there, man, seeing Junior and playing basketball, dunking the shit out of those rims. I think Junior got mad because I dunked it and I broke 2 rims. They were old already, but I was hanging there. He goes, "Hey, Tree, quit hanging from the rims. Get over here and box. I'm going to play basketball."
No,
But we don't have that no more. And you know what, Judge? It's pretty hard that there's no venues, man. And they have us at the judging arena, where they used to put first place on a pig, second place on a cow. It's goddamn, it's for livestock. And it leaks, and it's cold. But that's all we have. And we have out-of-town teams coming to see that shit. Oh, my God.
I worked the tournament when the JOs came down there for was it the regional or the state?
There?
Yeah. In the judging arena.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
That was embarrassing.
It is.
It was.
I mean...
And the truth of the matter is, that's all we had. It was either that or in the parking lot.
Hey, Judge, but you know what? That's not all we have. We have the Civic Center. We have the rec centers that are closed. We have... I mean, it's just
Mr.
frustrating.
Trevino, to do something like that, we have to reorganize and rethink the LBCs, because if there was political pressure, and I do know elected officials, when you put them in a position where they feel their continued position, their elected office, is in jeopardy, they will work with you.
They will work with you.
They will work. If you come in and say, well, there's 3 of us here and we want Carolina back, you can take a hike, buddy. Okay, you can take a hike. You don't contribute money, and for your 3 votes, it's not going to affect me. You come in there with community support, the Carolina Neighborhood Association, this elected official, that one. You got to orchestrate this, because if he felt, well, there is some stroke here, there are some votes here, and no elected official wants to give up his position. So if you walked in and say, look, we've got 300 people in your district that want to see Carolina come. Sit down and let's talk about it. Let's talk
That's
about
the
it.
only way it's going to happen.
The only way it's going to happen.
And if people want to bring back those good old days, glory days, that's the only way it's going to happen.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't want to do the legwork, Judge.
Look, I'm telling you right now, this was something I've been proposing for a couple of years. I have no problem being the point man on this. I've been in there. I know a lot of these people, and I understand the reality of politics. These are voters, okay? These are voters, and that will get your attention. Yelling and screaming and calling them names, that's not going to get you anywhere.
No, it's not going to get us anywhere. We got to work together.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, it's sad that we don't have those days, huh, Herman?
Yeah, they're gone.
I mean, it's and we have so much resources and venues. We do have venues, but I mean,
But look, I'm an optimist, okay? I know I haven't been very successful these last couple of years getting this thing going, but let me just share a little anecdote here. When I was in Detroit, okay, and we'd go down to the Kronk,
damn.
I got to tell you this. I'm very fortunate. Back in the day, a guy named Stacy McKinney,
All right.
you probably don't know him, but I thought this was the greatest trainer I've ever had. He really was. And I always tell this story. I thought we used to drive around in a van that maybe I lost contact with him years after law school and whatnot. Went to Houston. I came back, and if you remember the Tommy Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard fight, the last one, the big guy with the beard, the black guy with the beard, Stacy McKinney. I thought, whoa. But be that as it may, back to the Kronk. It's in East Detroit, and if you remember back to '68 when they burned the place down, it's still burnt down.
It's still there.
It's burnt.
Wow.
They didn't rebuild it. But you come into this recreation center that makes Armijo look like a little palace. And downstairs was a basement. This is a city wreck, but Emmanuel Stewart said, I've got the key. This is my boxing gym, and what he says went. And when you'd get there, well, the fighters would get there, they all had new Cadillacs. There were Mercedes, beautiful cars. And I'll never forget the first time I pulled into the Kronk was like, oh, look at this. Those guys didn't even lock their cars or put the windows down. The kids would run up to them. Champ, I saw you on TV. Tommy Hearns, Caveman Lee was there. Just
To these little rinky-dinky places. Oh, my God.
But these little kids, and then Tommy, especially Tommy Hearns, he just throw it. I don't even know what they were. He'd throw some bills. Watch my car, man. Yes, sir, champ. Yes, sir. And every kid out there knew these cars are the result of that hard work in the Kronk. And every little kid, you'd see him shadow boxing outside, and the fighters would walk out, and they just stare at you. And to me, that's what made the Kronk special. Everybody in Detroit wants to be like him. I saw you on TV. I was at the airport one time. We were coming in. They got picked up in a limousine. The Kronk got picked up in limousines. And we're in Detroit. Everybody's like, oh. It was just the motivation and the pride to say, that guy, I know that guy. I've sparred with him. Yeah, well, he's on TV. He's the champion of the world. Look at his car. And when he gets picked up at the airport, that's a limousine. And to me, I think this is what changes attitude. When the kids can see the profit. This is straight up money. This isn't illegal.
And Judge, not just pro fighters, successful amateur fighters.
Absolutely.
When they see those fighters, when you say just wave, or how many successful amateur fighters have actually taken their time to help kids? I mean, they probably have. But to show me this is the medals you get at the Junior Olympics, these are the trophies, and mentor a kid, because right now what's mentoring our kids is called PlayStation and whatever those games are called. Am I right?
Absolutely.
It's hard to get kids in the gyms here, man.
If you remember Fernie Morales, Fernie Morales would walk down the street. He was just, this is back when he's still an amateur. He was just, people looked at him, and that's Fernie Morales. And I'll never forget having lunch with Fernie one day. Kid walks up to him with his parents. They want to take his picture. He put his spoon down, leaned over, took a picture with the kid, and I thought, that's why people want to be like Fernie Morales. I'm going to be like that guy someday.
Wow, and that's what's the inspiration for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And I've never forgotten it, and I was his attorney at the time.
And you know what, Judge, and that's what we need, man, you know, but it's good that you tell us about what we really need to start the drive going to get the rec centers back, right?
Absolutely.
These beautiful rec centers.
And now that I've retired, I need to get more involved because we need to get it back on track because I believe we can do it.
Well,
It
Judge,
can
are
be
you
done.
gonna? And that's one of my questions I was gonna ask you. Are you gonna continue to be involved with our amateur program?
Absolutely.
You are?
I've been.
Good.
I think Junior told me I was going on 30 years. I don't think it's quite that bad, but it's been a while.
If you can change one thing about the program, what would it be, Judge? One thing, man. I mean, LBC, Golden Gloves. What would it be, man?
I would just like to see more involvement, better marketing.
Better marketing. You're right.
I'm old school. I'd like to see it back when that van pulls up at Fort Worth. Herman, you know what I'm talking. And it says El Paso and it says Golden Gloves on the back. Don't even stare at them because these guys came to fight. It was that old Duran thing because El Paso we don't know the other guys, and you just walk in. There's nothing to talk about and quit. And I'm not going to names, but there's some guys that's like, what are you looking at? Hey, calm down. Why is that guy staring at me? And we came to fight.
That's cool, man.
And that's how El Paso used to come into this place.
Wow, man. Other sports, Judge, have been changing, developing safety protocols to protect their athletes. For example, football has gone to safer helmets, all kinds of safety measures because of the safety of the athlete. Boxing has been talked to in the last 2 years because there's been some deaths attributed at the pro level and I believe an amateur also overseas. Do you think that boxing can make it safer? And if so, can we make it safer or continue because we have a pretty good track record of not having people get seriously injured.
Well, when you talk about safety in boxing, there's the pro world and the amateur world, and they're totally separate. In the amateur world, I really don't know how much safer you can get it because the emphasis to the referee is that if he sees a mismatch or somebody's getting hurt, he stops it, period. Right. You are bound by the rules and regulations of U.S. boxing. You stop it. And even if he's not getting hurt, if you see this fight is too lopsided, that fighter is way outclassing this one, you stop it. You just stop it. You wave it off. You don't do that in the pros. Excessive bleeding in the pros, good luck. I hope you have a good cut man in your corner because you're going to fight. In the boxing world, you stop it. That's it.
Well, and I say this, Judge, because we want to recruit fighters, and I'm talking about the amateur world. But now in these days, the parents are more concerned of their child's safety because kids don't fight after school no more. Like we used to fight behind the cafeteria at 3 o'clock. We used to throw chingazos. That's the way it was in the barrio. I grew up in Carolina, Lower Valley. Now everybody's all scared. Oh, no, mijo, don't fight because of the bully shit and all that crap. Back then we used to just even play football and call it smear the queer. Now we can't even call it like that because it's all everybody gets right. But that's the problem now. How do we promote kids to come? Because this is what I have to do, Judge. Here, I have to sit down with the parent and tell them this is what we do. This is how safe it is. This is the boxing book. This is an insurance. This is what we're not going to do. This is my trainer's credentials. It's hard because they don't want their kid to get hit because the media feeds them. Oh man, bullying. They're going to get in the face. That's what I meant. I mean, fuck. How can we practice it safer?
Look, I've the fighters I've trained in. There was a time when I used to take a lot of troublemakers from the high schools. And what I'd explain to their coaches was, look, once you learn how to fight, this isn't so you can go beat up somebody. This gives you the ability that if you call me out, I can walk away because I know if I come back, I don't have to prove myself because you call me a name. But if it hits the fan, I can defend myself. And I've always thought boxers, it's easier for them to walk away. I don't have to prove that I can hit you or I know how to fight. Everyone knows I can, and I know I can. And to me, this is part of the discipline is to walk away. I don't have to fight every guy that insults me. But I can defend myself if I have to.
Wow, yeah. So we really kind of make it safer. It is what it is, right?
And, the headgear, I don't know why.
Because they went to the Olympics with no headgear.
But let me say this about that. The American Olympic team went from, I guess, the 76 team, which we still talk about like if it was the UTEP national championship.
Yeah, 1966.
Yeah. But to me, that was the main driving force. Was it? Let's take off the headgear, see if it helps us. I think we have won bronze in the last two Olympic men's title.
I think we did too. I think we had two.
Two bronze?
Was it two bronze only? We've been successful pretty good. We're on our way.
Well, here's the thing. There's no way you can tell me putting on a helmet is more dangerous. I don't know why USA Boxing says that, because they know it's not true. Because if it was true, then the NFL needs to take off their helmets. Think about it.
Jesus, imagine.
And think about this. If you're going to get smacked, would you rather get smacked with your headgear on or with a 6-ounce glove? So, you can't tell me headgears don't help. Of course they help. That's why football players wear helmets.
Yeah, of course they help, right? Judge, this is the question I've been meaning to ask you, man. Should there be another boxing organization, club, boxer, officials, coaches can answer to? Not just like what I mean is, should there be another organization another mothership that will broaden and expose more talent, or there will be more events across the nation? I'll give you an example real quick. For example, the MMA world or the jiu-jitsu world or the wrestling world, there's times here in El Paso, Judge, that the Civic Center's packed, and then the Coliseum's packed. They have two events going at the same time. It's a big federation. This is the Southwest Wrestling Federation, and this is the Northwest Federation, and they have hundreds of people at these shows, and they answer to different people. Here, we got to abide by one dictator, and that's it. Do you think that's a problem, and do you think we'll ever see another organization?
Look, I feel your pain. I was the timekeeper at an MMA show a few years back, and I went and I was the timekeeper, and the place was packed.
Packed, man.
And I asked the promoter, where do you promote? Because that's what we need to do. He says, I didn't. It was word of mouth. And I thought, whoa.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If you think things are bad now in the local amateur LBCs, as a lot of people do, think about what's going to happen if you cut it in half. My suggestion is you get more involved with the LBC and say, look, this is what we need to do. Run for offices. In fact, I'm not sure there were any contested positions.
For the LBC here?
Correct.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah.
Hector Espinosa remains the president. Nobody ran against him.
Correct.
Right, so he was
Unopposed?
unopposed, and he went through, and since he took over, and even Prieto, they all did a good job, man. It's just, we always want to see them under a telescope, but it has a lot to do with us too, Judge. We have to put our part to make them successful, and vice versa. It's just not right.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
he was unopposed, and you know what, Judge? They've asked me to run, but I don't know much boxing like Hector and them do.
Do
You
it.
know, I want to do Golden Gloves. I told Junior, when it's time, buddy, I'll help you, man. I really want to run Golden Gloves with you. I really want that.
And so do I.
I really want.
So, we'll talk about this off air, but we need to get together, because I think I'm one of those guys that believe we can go back to the glory days. I really do.
Yeah, I think so
do.
too.
With the right people pushing it and promoting it
Yep.
and marketing it and bringing in these people,
Yep.
I think we can bring it back. And I think Junior would just be tickled to see El Paso go back to the glory days.
Exactly. I mean, going back to and bringing us, like you say, the glory days, and what's well deserved for people like him, to bring him back in the spotlight and honoring somebody like him, Mr. Mata, everybody that's on that wall in the corner of Mills and what is it? You know what I had said
Yes.
one time? I wanted to have a boxing show right in the parking lot.
Oh, wow.
With a wall. And it was the diversified parking people.
Yes.
Oh my God.
What happened?
They said fucking. Sorry. They said no. They just they wouldn't allow it.
Well,
That's a
look,
But imagine having a show where the wall's at, an amateur show there. Just imagine, man. But the only bad thing too that they told me, Judge, is that right there in that hotel,
That's Andrade's hotel.
that who's there, Judge? All the sex offenders housed there.
really?
All of them are there.
Well, it's also haunted, too.
Yeah, well, the ghosts can see the thoughts. Fuck. I wouldn't want to see the sex offenders there, right? But that's a problem. Because
No, that would be an awesome setting, and if
Right?
you do it at night, they're not
Right.
making any money. No one's parking there.
I mean, I was going to get the lights. We were going to have the promoter get the ring and honor those people on the wall. Just imagine a Saturday night amateur show right in the corner of Mills and, what is it? Mills and...
See, that's what I'm talking about. We need to coordinate, because, see, the Downtown Business Association, I know they would help out here, okay? They're going to bring in people for the bars and restaurants. Bringing in people downtown is
That's what they want.
The Visitors
That's what they
Association.
want, huh?
So,
Yeah, we even got off, we measured the parking, the 4 feet from the ring. Me and my wife and my kids were helping me on a Sunday. There was nobody there. I called Diversified. They said, no, it's somebody else, the owner. Plus, they might condemn that building. Just imagine if they condemn that building, they're going to tear down that wall, man. That's sad, man. And it's kind of rough, too. So I even told Junior, let's have a show there, man, because that honors those fighters up there, man. Just think about it. Right in the corner, we block some streets off. Have some food trucks there.
I'm telling you, we can do it. Remember I saw Herman, the surf club.
Surf club.
Yeah, remember that?
Oh, that guy had a gold mine going there.
Remember that? Herman was out there.
Yeah.
I saw you fight there a couple of times.
Yeah, I fought there first couple of years. I fought there a first couple of years, and it was always packed.
It was always packed. Remember the main event, too?
Yeah,
but there, too.
Yeah.
And you guys got dressed in a little makeshift out there in the parking lot.
That's what I said.
In the
Put some
locker room.
tents, red and blue corner.
Yeah.
And then
Look,
just walk
if
from there.
Pat Devlin could do it at the surf club, what makes you think we can't do it today?
Well, I mean, like you said, Judge.
We can get Herman out of retirement.
Yeah, let me do a video like Tyson does with the mitts.
But it would only last like a minute. You're like, time out.
Tired.
That check engine light's on. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Folks, we're having a good time here at the Web Boxing 101 podcast with Judge Aguilar. Almost wrapping it up. We got a few things, Judge. We're going to play rapid fire with you. We're going to have 10 questions with you. You got to answer them to your best. So are you ready to play rapid fire, Judge?
Yes, sir.
All right. Rapid fire with Aguilar. Luis Aguilar, the judge. Number 1. Should there be consequences when a fighter or coach does not take a fight, or when a fighter just does not show up to the weigh-ins?
Absolutely. Suspension.
Suspension, how long?
It depends on how many times you've done it.
Because you see it all the time.
Absolutely.
And you leave the poor kid on the scale.
Absolutely.
And the kid doesn't show up. We've talked about this, Herman.
Yep.
Suspension.
And these kids, some of these kids that had a fight and then the guy didn't show up, they don't get any credit as far as like they don't get a trophy. It's not their fault. They trained hard to get there.
Yeah, and then the kid just didn't show up because you didn't wake up.
Absolutely.
Boxing in high school, yes or no?
Absolutely. If
How come it's not in high school, Judge?
liability, the school district.
Goddamn, what about football?
Football, that generates revenue. Football is a revenue generator.
Right.
Boxing won't.
Doesn't make sense, huh?
Well, that
But
part
you
does.
said, yeah, it'll be good, huh?
Absolutely.
A pilot program of 4 high schools. Like they have a pilot program of hockey at the west side, right? Coronado and somebody else has hockey now.
But you'd have to go through the superintendent of school district. You couldn't work it out with the 4 individual host schools.
I know. But it's an idea.
Absolutely.
Favorite boxer of all time, Judge?
Roberto Duran.
Yeah, you said it. Roberto Duran. Tyson comeback, yes or no?
Absolutely not.
Why not, Judge?
53 is 53 any way you divide it or add it up, buddy.
Or how cool he looks in videos, huh?
And hitting the mitts, yeah. We all look good hitting the mitts.
Favorite boxing movie or documentary?
I don't watch much boxing movies. I think they're not very realistic. I'll go watch fighters in the gym. That's the reality.
That's your documentary?
Yeah.
Did you see the Johnny Tapia documentary?
Very tragic. I thought it was sad.
There's a good one on Showtime about the cradle of boxing. It talks about the New York Golden Gloves. Awesome documentary. It's about 2.5 hours long.
Of the New York Golden Gloves?
The New York Golden Gloves.
Is this the Mark Breland era?
No, it's the new era. But the Golden Gloves in New York, they fight once a week till it leads up to the main championship fights, which are in the Brooklyn. What's at the Brooklyn Center?
The Barclays Center.
Yeah, that's where they have it at. But every week's a different fight leading up to the.
Oh, check it out! It's on Showtime.
It's on Showtime.
What age is too old for a fighter?
Boxing.
Cradle of boxing. What age is too old for a fighter?
Your body will let you know, buddy.
Yeah. What do you think of Manny Pacquiao?
He's different. There's
Why?
only one of those guys on this planet, and that happens to be him.
Right.
Look, once you reach, when your body lets you know, you shouldn't be taking shots upside your head. Not a good idea.
And let me tell you one thing. Pacquiao might return to fight Earl Spence. Imagine. He's good.
No, I saw Earl Spence win twice down in Fort Worth, and even back then, that guy's going to be special.
And he is special.
And he is.
I almost costed him his life.
Yeah.
But and he hasn't fought, and it's been almost a 2-year lab, man. I hope he comes back, man, because that could have scarred him.
Yeah.
Because I know he got hurt on his jaw or his mouth.
Yeah, you won't
like
know
that.
till he gets in that
Exactly.
ring again.
instant replay review in boxing like other sports have it?
Absolutely not.
Why not, Judge?
It's going to interfere with the momentum of the fight, and this is a sport that referees make mistakes, and you just live with it.
And as we all know, folks, it has affected some sports like baseball. Right? It slows the game down.
Absolutely.
Favorite boxing ref of all time? Or which ref do you like to see?
Robert Velez.
Oh, yeah.
I like Robert.
I like Robert, too.
Robert's a good guy.
Dude, man.
I think he's an outstanding referee. When I first started refereeing, that's the guy that I'd watch, and I'd pull him to the side. Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? I think he's an outstanding referee.
You know that Robert Velez was my security blanket when I started ring announcing, and I did the David Rodriguez first time fight televised, and I was nervous as hell. I go, hey, man, how do I look? You look good, buddy. You're going to do great, Tree.
Yeah, you know,
Don't
I
worry
like
about it,
Robert,
'cause he's
and
so
I also
cool,
like
you know?
Rocky
Burke.
Yeah.
Rocky Burke.
Rocky
him.
Burke.
Yeah,
Rocky
Absolutely.
Burke's a good one, right?
Those are the guys you don't see them yelling, screaming. They're
they're
bien
very
calmado, bien calmado. Here's the rules.
Yeah.
And you know they have a demeanor like get your punches up.
Yeah.
Versus you better get them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, they don't have that Mills Lane attitude. They're very calm.
Nah,
They
he's
get
cool.
their point across.
Yeah.
He's cool.
Awesome.
Last question, rapid fire. Beck's Mexican restaurant in El Paso.
El Jalisco,
Where's that at?
2nd Ward, 7th Street,
El Jalisco.
1109.
With Hector.
Yeah, Hector Chaves.
Yeah. All right, I've never been there.
Navy veteran.
You're kidding.
No, we got to go
Oh,
to
no.
Jalisco.
Good
you're
menudo.
kidding.
Good menudo,
You've
Jalisco.
never been to El Jalisco?
No, Judge, I'm sorry.
My son, I took him down there, Arthur. Loves that place.
It's on 7th and what? I know exactly where
It's
it's, at.
1109 7th.
But the cross street is it St. Brain?
It's 4 blocks down from Armijo.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
And right by Bowie Bakery.
Wow.
So,
We-
yeah.
1 block up before
Yeah.
Bowie Bakery.
Well, I'm going to go check it out.
Good stuff.
Somebody said here favorite trainer. You have a favorite trainer?
No, I don't.
He said Emmanuel Stewart. That was Aldo Montes from the Wolf's Den. Emmanuel Stewart was a good trainer, huh?
Very good trainer.
There's some good trainers out there as well.
He was a no nonsense guy. When you were in his gym, and I know every trainer goes through this. People start yelling instructions. Don't do that in the crunk in front of Emmanuel Stewart.
No.
He will throw you out of there.
Get the fuck.
Do not talk to his fighters.
Judge, it's been a pleasure to have you, man.
It was my pleasure.
It was
Thank
great
you very
to have
much
you.
for inviting me.
Judge, you got any last things to say to anybody, or any last things that we probably missed, or Herman, or whatever?
No, I just want to thank you for promoting boxing, Herman, for being around the sport as long as you have and contributing. And you two are the types of guys that will hopefully we can get back to our glory days, because it's going to take this type of effort. And I'm telling you, I haven't done enough, but I intend to do more. So thank you two guys.
Oh, you got it, Judge. And
Thank you,
we'll
Judge.
see you here. And I know you come run by the gym, and I'm scheduled to open May 18 with the 25% rule. That's 12 people in my gym, including me. So we'll see. But we're excited to open. Again, taking the safety precautions and all that. I mean, whatever they want to hear. But we're going to open May the 18th. So stop by, Judge.
Yes, sir, I will.
On a closing note, folks, I'm going to go over this quick motivational abstract. It's called Never to Give Up. One day, a farmer's donkey fell into a well. The animal cried pettishly for hours as the farmer tried to figure out what the hell to do with him. Finally, he decided that the animal was old, and well, he needed to be covered up anyway. It wasn't worth retrieving the donkey. He invited all his neighbors to come over and help him. They all grabbed a shovel, and they began to shovel dirt into the well. At first, the donkey realized what was happening to him, and he was crying horribly. He was pleading for his life. Then, to everyone's amazement, he quieted down. A few shovels loads later, the farmer finally looked down the well and was astonished at what he saw. With every shovel of dirt that fell on the back of the donkey was doing something amazing. He would shake it off and take a step up. As the farmer's neighbors continued to shovel the dirt onto top of the animal, he would shake it off and take a step up. Pretty soon, everyone was amazed as the donkey stepped up over the edge of the well and trotted off. The moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen, is that life is going to shovel dirt on you, all kinds of shit and dirt. The trick is not to get bogged down by it. We can get out of the deepest wells by not stopping, and by never, never giving up. Shake it off and take a step up.
Amen.
Amen. This has been Web Boxing 101 podcast. Like I've always said before, put God first. I'm happy to be back. We'll see you next week, folks. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go have me a...